Sheriff Wayne Ivey is joining us now. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Good to see you, Sheriff. What county are you in Florida?
We're in Brevard County, Florida, on the Space Coast.
And I was watching a very interesting video, the Wheel of Fugitives that you had going. Why don't you explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So we came up with the idea. It's 10 fugitives on a wheel. It's kind of like Wheel of Fortune, except really it's more like Wheel of Misfortune, if you will. And we spin it, and we asked our community to help us find whoever the fugitive of the week is. And it works great. We get great engagement from our community, and it's got about an 88% success rate when we do it. So it's been a lot of fun. We try and mix a little bit of humor in with the stuff we're doing, but we're serious about getting bad people off our streets.
Hey, you know what I always think with bad people, and Sheriff Wayne, by the way, is over 3 decades of law enforcement experience, graduated from the prestigious FBI National Academy, studied management and supervision from Daytona State College. So just so you know, it seems to the layperson, who is me, that is a very small number of people creating a large amount of crime, and it's statistically a small group. So the notion of when we catch them, we almost immediately push them back into society to create more crime doesn't make sense to me.
It absolutely does. It makes us sick. We go out, our team goes out, and they arrest the people, get them off the street. And sometimes before you get through with the paperwork, they put them right back out, or they give them a ridiculous or stupid low bond. It's even worse than that, Adam. We see people that we arrest while they're out on bond, and then they give them another bond. So, what's the old thing? The insanity of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. There you go. That's the criminal justice system.
Is this stuff starting to wane a little bit? Like, I live in California. Everyone is nuts here. We have the George Soros, elected DAs, and they come and they ruin everything. And then we get tired of it. And then we ask for law and order. And then at some point we get it. But it's only after San Francisco and Los Angeles are ruined do we get this. And I don't know why we need to keep conducting the same experiment that never works.
Right. Well, they get it, but they just ignore it. And, I tell everybody, we live in the free state of Florida. And in Brevard County, if you spit on our sidewalk, we lock your butt up. We don't care. We don't apologize for it. And we don't wait for crime to rise to the level that a community can no longer tolerate. So they get it. They just don't do anything about it. And we see extreme examples of differences between the way we fight crime in Florida and the way they fight crime or say they fight crime in California.
What do you make of a lot of these sanctuary cities saying they're not going to comply with ICE? And to go further, they're actually going to aid and abet some of the illegals that ICE is trying to gather up.
Yeah, I say, first of all, get out of the way. Let us do it. We'll take care of protecting your citizens, which you're not doing. And I say right now is not the time to be doing it. There's a new sheriff in Washington, D.C., and I think people are about to find that out if they play that game this time.
Well, I would assume most of it is just posturing. Like, it's so funny. All these people they're really cowards, but they try to come across as heroes, and you have school teachers, and they're all making these videos saying, you try to come for my kids, you got to come through me first. And it's like, yeah, well, you just get out of the way. You're a heavy-set, middle-aged woman, and we just get out of the way and we'll take the kids. Or we'll just wait till they go home and we'll get them at the house. Like, they can do nothing. I don't know what the posturing is about we're going to have to go through you first. What does that even mean?
Well, that's the people that drank a can of Red Bull Keyboard Courage right before they queued up their video, and they're not going to do anything. They'll get out of the way quickly, but they would change their tone if all of a sudden their family became victimized by one of these people that are here in our country illegally. I guarantee it. If they became an angel family, they would have a different idea about what law and order really needs to do.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have thoughts about law and law enforcement, the law enforcement community, and so on and so forth. But to me, it's just nuts and bolts. It's pretty old. There's ways to fix it and work on it, nips and tucks along the way. When they talk about reimagining policing, that's when we get into trouble.
That's exactly right. The old school stuff works. I'll give an example. In Brevard County, we have an actual chain gang. We have inmates that go out on the side of the road and pick up trash. Their ankles are chained together. We're one of only, I think, 8 in the country. The recidivism rate on normal people that have not been part of the chain gang in our county is 44% for male inmates, unless they've been on the chain gang, and then it's 2%. So, we know it works. We know that being hard on those that violate the law, keeping them locked up, those are things that works. But this go out and hug a thug type idea, just it doesn't work, and they keep doing it over and over again. And that's where you see crime rise to the level where people are moving out of areas because they no longer feel safe.
Yeah, and they also do this sort of apology thing, which is it's the poverty that causes the crime, which is I grew up with plenty of it, poverty and impoverished people. Nobody had any money, but nobody was a criminal. Historically, people have been poor, but they weren't criminals. You don't have to be a criminal just because you're poor.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm like you. I didn't grow up in a rich family or a family with a lot of money. And I had a mom and dad that held us accountable, kept us straight. As I tell everybody, my mom was the sheriff, the judge, and the executioner in our household, and my dad was her backup. They were the ones that were the chief law enforcement officers in our lives. So parents need to get back to holding their kids accountable. They need to let law enforcement officers do their job, and those that stand in the way, they need to find their way to jail too.
Do you feel like there's a new world order now with Trump and, Pam Bondi and Floridian Pam Bondi and guys like Pete Hegseth and guys that are just sort of Tom Holman, especially, like no nonsense, no more word salad, no more hug the thug, just we're getting it done, brass tacks, here we go.
Yeah, I think, you said a while ago, there's just a new attitude in there and no apologies. Nobody's apologizing for doing their jobs now. And they're not making excuses. They're saying those that violate the law are going to jail. Those that shouldn't be in our country are being taken out of our country. And we're going to strengthen our borders and make sure that our citizens are safe. And so I think it's great. I mean, I can tell you when President Trump was in office before, we had great support from Washington, D.C. Tom Homan, I've had a chance to work with him. Pam Bondi, I worked with her when she was the Attorney General here in Florida. And they are no nonsense. They are about putting bad people in jail.
What is some stuff people can do to avoid being victims of crime? For instance, like your home being broken into. Are there, I mean, I know there's stuff you can do, but are there things that can prevent it before it happens? Like lighting or signs saying you have an alarm company monitoring, or what is effective?
Yeah, absolutely. So making your home a hard target, that's what's effective. Whether that's having a sign outside that designates you have an alarm, whether that's having proper lighting, whether it's having a sign outside that says, I've got a great big gun in my house, don't come in here. Believe it or not, having dogs that are going to be an alarm for you or be protective. All of those things, the totality of all of them is what makes your home a hard target. And the same thing applies to outside your person. If you look like you're somebody that's not paying attention, is just kind of haphazardly going through your day, you are increasing your chances of being a victim of crime versus someone that's alert, someone that's aware and is paying attention to what's going on.
Well, you'll be happy to know, Sheriff, that when I had no car insurance and I drove a truck and I didn't have anything to my name except for a Sony digital dash stereo in my 84 Nissan pickup truck, and I lived in Hollywood, and I knew it was going to get stolen because it was the 80s and everyone stole everyone's car stereo back then. I spray painted my stereo brown and it never got stolen. And everybody wanted to know why I spray painted my stereo brown and how that would prevent it from being stolen. Even when cops pulled me over and I said, who's going to sell a brown stereo? And they said, what does that mean? I said, whoever steals car stereos are drug addicts who need a fix and need to sell this immediately. And if I desecrate it by painting it brown, then they can't sell it and they can't get their drugs. And it worked. It never got stolen. And my truck was stolen 2 times, but I had a fuel cutoff switch on it, and I found it up the street each time. So
you should be out here teaching crime prevention. That's what you should be doing. You were thinking outside the box long ago.
I had a cop pull me over because after I got my truck stolen, for the first time, they pulled the ignition out, and I couldn't start my truck. I didn't have enough money to go to the dealer and get a new ignition, so I started my car with a flathead screwdriver. I just put it in the ignition and turn it with the screwdriver, and it would start up. A cop, LAPD, saw that I was starting my car with a screwdriver and thought I stole the car. So they pulled me over, and I explained to them the fuel cutoff switch and the painting of the stereo, and they labeled me a genius and let me go on my way. So, yes.
That's right. That was crime prevention back before we even thought of things like that. It's amazing the things that you can do. I tell people all the time, if you're not someone that has a dog, go get a big giant dog dish and put it at your front door and write Brutus on.
Right.
Something to make them think you have that dog.
Yeah, get a big set of army boots and set them next to Brutus's bowl that never needs to be refilled. Yeah, I always said to people, in one of my books, maybe, I said, they had some people out here have a sticker in front for the fire department that says there's 5 cats in this house. I said, don't put that sticker on. You're going to get robbed. Take one, get one of the Dixie flag or the NRA and put the NRA sticker in the window. Don't put the 3 cats sticker in the window. Right.
You put you see the stickers all the time that this house is protected by Smith & Wesson and Glock and everything else. So those are the things that make the criminal go, you know what, I'm going to go find another target, not that one, because bad things are going to happen. And, the same thing applies to our schools too, Adam. We are the only agency in the country that I know of that my deputies walk through the halls with an AR strapped to the front of their vest. My theory is that if they have to run to their car or run to a safe to get their long gun, we're already behind the curve. So the same thing applies. We made our schools hard targets, and I want someone to know that if you have evil in your heart and you're coming on our campus to hurt a child, we're going to kill you dead. And we've got the very best school resource deputies out there, but it's the same principle. If you make yourself a hard target or you make your home a hard target, the criminal is going to go somewhere else.
Well, it's really about percentages, and I don't think people really understand percentages, which is they're not stealing your car stereo or robbing your house. They're just robbing a house to them.
That's right.
So it's nothing personal. They're just robbing stuff. And all you have to do is make your car stereo 10% less attractive or your house 10% less attractive for a robber, and they'll just slide over to the next house. It's real simple stuff. It's a percentage game, and it'll be just a little bit easier if they go across the street. So that's what they're going to do. So all you have to do is be a little less attractive than your neighbor's house, essentially.
I wonder if that works with your spouse, too. I wonder if that keeps somebody from taking your spouse as well.
I'm going to try that one out. Yeah, it is. I don't think people really break it down like statistically, even, which is you can leave your backpack on your passenger seat of your car and someone's going to break your window, or you can throw it in the trunk and they'll just go to the next car where they see someone left their backpack on the seat. And that's pretty much how criminals work, unless they're master jewel thieves and you own the Hope Diamond. That's a different situation.
We see the same thing with burglaries to cars. So, I can go to the shopping center or to the store and try door locks, and all of them are locked. You walk through the neighborhood, and people leave their cars unlocked in their front yard because they live in a safe neighborhood. Well, we see groups, organizations that will actually come through the neighborhoods and just walk through, try and unlock cars. They're stealing everything out of them, whether it's electronics, medication that's left in the car, checkbooks, even the garage door opener. They'll take it, and then they go right into the house. But if that car's locked, and we see it on the security cameras all the time, whether it's Ring or Blink, whatever it is, if the car's locked, they walk right next door to the neighbor's house and try their car. So the smallest of things, the totality of all of them is what makes you that hard target. And you're right. Criminals, whether they're violent or thieves or whatever they are, they're opportunists. They're looking for that easy score.
And they're weirdly pragmatic. When you think about cartels, they deal pot, and then at some point they decriminalize pot, and then they start doing human trafficking, or they start selling fentanyl, or whatever it is. They're very adaptable, and they're pragmatic by nature. Like, they have to be sort of fluid, and so they're always going to take the lowest hanging fruit. So just don't be that. Yeah. They
adjust to whatever's on the market that day, and they are. They're simple. They're going to do the easiest thing they can do. They're going to make money, a quick score, and they're out the door. So if you make yourself that hard target, I'm fully in support here in Brevard, or in the state of Florida, for open carry. We have permitless carry, but I'm for open carry, and I look at it from the aspect of if everybody knows it's a level playing field, that'll stop the robberies. That'll stop the people from doing things. And we see that in areas where they already have open carry. In fact, there's only 5 states in the country that don't have some form of open carry. And you see that crime rate adjust because now those that are thinking about ripping somebody off, they have to think again because they know that person's armed and they can see it.
It's a bizarre time we're living in. I just heard a story yesterday. I'll paraphrase, but in France, they had a big massacre inside a music venue semi-recently. And inside that music venue were amongst the thousands of people that were watching the show, were several off-duty French policemen. But France made an ordinance that off-duty policemen can't carry their sidearms when they're off duty. So now you got a guy carrying out a massacre. You would have several trained law enforcement guys in plain clothes who had a weapon, except for they said you can't bring a weapon anymore when you're off duty, and thus the body count goes up. I'm not sure why people can't understand these concepts.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, like in our agency, you're mandated to always have your gun with you, whether you're off duty or not. We want our deputies to be able to respond instantly, whether they're at the movie theater or they're on duty. We want them to be able to intercede any type of incident that's taking place. Look, you and I come at things from common sense and logic. The people that are saying, get rid of all the guns, people are saying this, don't understand what it really takes to protect a society. It is hard work. It is scary stuff. But at the end of it, our deputies, our law enforcement officers have a job out there to protect, and that's what they need to be unhandcuffed and allowed to do. I'm telling you, I'm here in Florida and specifically in Brevard County. I tell our deputies, come to work and have fun, put bad people in jail, and do it more professionally than anybody else. I want them to put bad people in jail. That's what our citizens need. That's what makes people want to move here. Our crime rate's down 52%. Our population's up, I think, almost 18%, but our crime rate's down 52% because we don't play. We're tough on crime, and we're even tougher on criminals. When they get out to our jail, they're going to eat the worst food that I'm allowed to serve them, and they are going to not have TV. They're going to pay the price for being in that jail.
Do you guys find that you're having officers come over from other places, Portland and Seattle and Los Angeles, San Francisco, these blue cities with these progressive DAs and progressive city councils that are, as you say, putting the handcuffs on these guys, and they want to go to a place where they can actually carry out their training and do their job?
Absolutely. We get recruits from all over the country coming to our sheriff's office. We have a pretty good Facebook presence. Brevard County Sheriff's Official is our Facebook page. And we have a good presence, so a lot of law enforcement officers from other areas see how much our community loves us. That's the number one thing. The community in Brevard County loves its law enforcement officers. In fact, I tell everybody they love us, trust us, and protect us just as much as we love, trust, and protect them. The second thing is they see that they have a sheriff that expects them to put bad people in jail, expects them to go after them and chase them or do whatever we got to do to lock them up. And then they want to come to a place where they can get the cases prosecuted. They want to come to a place where once they do their job, they see the end of it. And so we're getting them from New York, from like you said, Seattle, everywhere else that come join our agency and want to be a part of something on the positive.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine the frustration level of being a New York police officer and going through all the trials and the tribulations and the danger of arresting guys just to see him out on the street. And then you hear about this guy's been arrested, he's been arrested 34 times, and all this stuff. And that would just be the most demoralizing experience ever professionally.
It is. And, you said something at the very beginning about the DAs out in California. When people are looking at who they're putting in office, one of the most important places they need to start thinking about is when they're electing the state attorney or the district attorney. And that's why Soros focuses so much on those positions, because he wants to be able to weaken the criminal justice system. Between the state attorney and the judges, the sheriff can arrest people all day long. And unless you got a state attorney or a judge that's willing to lock them up and put them away, it's all for nothing. So they really need to look at those positions, because that's what can continue to hurt us.
When you do the Wheel of Fugitives, were you getting some opposition initially? Were there folks that said this was in poor taste, or you're turning this into a mockery? Were there folks that took issue with it?
Yeah, you're always going to have people that are not going to like what you're doing, and we got just those things. You said, turning it into a game show or whatever. And my response to them was, crime fighting is about engaging your community. And I always respond to those that say something negative by saying, but yet here you are, still looking at our Facebook page and seeing who's wanted. So overwhelmingly, though, the citizens love it. I mean, we have T-shirts and bumper stickers that say, "My child's never been on Wheel of Fugitive." We have another show we do called Fishing for Fugitives, where I go out, I got a fishing pole with handcuffs on it, and I show all the beautiful spots in Brevard County where you can go fishing. And I fish for fugitives, and when we get it, it's our catch of the day. So, we try and mix in a little bit of humor into a very serious subject. But our citizens also know when it's time to be ultra serious, we are that as well. But yeah, we get a little pushback on it. And again, we don't apologize. I tell people if you don't like what we do on our Facebook page, maybe you should go watch The View or something that might be more to your liking. So they usually go away right after that.
Well, let me give a plug to you. The website is brevardsheriff.com, if that's correct. I think it is.
Yes, sir.
And that's where we can see Fishing for Fugitives and Wheel of Fugitives as well, right?
You can see it on there. It's also, as I said, our Facebook page is Brevard County Sheriff's Office Official. And you can follow it. We got another show called Cooking Up Justice, where we go into our local restaurants, and they show me how to make their favorite dish. And while that's going in the oven, we cook up a little Brevard County justice by showing them a fugitive we want. So we have a little bit of fun here.
Yeah, listen, I'm all about it, and these things are effective, and it's not rocket science. It's pretty basic stuff. It's sad to me that so many people drifted away from what we knew worked and what always worked and what will work as well. And we have to reconstruct everything. People die in the process, and there's so much destruction and sort of meaningless heartache and destruction. And while we go back to what we know works and what we already did, it's sad, but I guess that's the process we're going to have to go through. And certainly I'm in LA, so that's what we're going through right now.
Yeah, we watch, Adam. We had a fugitive that we found out was at a sober house out in L.A., a place called Graceland Ranch. And we contacted law enforcement out there and asked them to go pick up this fugitive. He was wanted for trafficking in fentanyl, resisting arrest, all sorts of stuff. And literally on the Graceland Ranch, we saw him on TikTok, and the law enforcement out there went to Graceland Ranch and said, hey, we're not going to come in and get him. We don't want to get anybody mad. But if he wants to turn himself in, he can. And so they refused to go arrest a wanted fugitive for trafficking in fentanyl. So we got the U.S. Marshals to go get him and snatch his butt up. But just goes to show you the difference between people that are really doing law enforcement and trying to keep citizens safe and people that have guns and badges and claim to be law enforcement officers.
It's sad, but it'll be turned around, and it is turning around, especially with the help of people like you, Sheriff Wayne. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you can check in from time to time with many of your new endeavors.
I enjoy it. I follow you all the time and appreciate you having me on.
Sheriff Wayne Ivey, thank you very much, sir, and thanks for your service. Oh.